Hello everyone. I hope you are doing well. My name is Dr. Neha. I'm a clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, speech analyst therapist, and I am uh, working as a social activist and human rights defender as well. Today I'm going to talk about functional language and I am, and and this is for the our my new podcast with the name of Spectrum Talks and Tips and International, and I am presenting Sounds of Autism uh, in Pakistan and working as a director as well. So let me just quickly start the presentation because I thought through presentation I might be able to better stay on the point and let other people understand that what I'm talking about. So the topic of my today presentation is, which I am recording for my podcast, is functional speech. So let me share with you. Okay, so that is my introduction, and the topic is functional speech, and let's start our presentation. So let me talk about what is a basically functional speech. A functional speech is a speech which we, or you could say, we are using to communicate with other people on daily basis, which is required for the communication in the sense, uh, in the sense like I need something, I want that. And if we talk about the child and what the child want for himself in the daily basis, either the child is able to communicate his need or not, or either the child is able to understand what you're talking to, or if we talk about children on spectrum and other children with disabilities, they have very limited communication. So this presentation would help you out how to start working on your child functional communication at home, because um, with the therapist the child is spending very little time, but child is at home with the parents, with the caretaker, with the caretaker, caregiver. So they need to understand how they can help a child to develop his functional communication. So this is my introduction. I've already told you. Let's start. So let me tell you what is functional speech. A functional communication refers to the most basic of communication skill. This type of communication gets one basic wants and need to know, such as I want that, I want this, I'm hurt, I'm hungry, I want to go to washroom. And these are not complex thought, and that are not, this is just a basically simple type of messages that your child can communicate or not. So this is not a complex communication. This is not a two-way communication. This is not a social communication, socialization about, it's not even about socialization. It is about either your child is that much independent, even if he's not independent, either your child is able to communicate with you or not, or if he's not able to communicate, that how you can facilitate that process as a parent. Okay. For most children, functional communication begins to emerge in the first year of life with gesture, and expand on its following years with words and letters. A simply sentence, however, for child with speech and language delay, it may happen much later. Children with significant language impairment may still be working on obtaining functional communication when they are much older, and that is very much true, because with communication with the language, a lot of most of the time people are trying to tell the child uh, that that is kind of academic language. Like for example, the child know that a lot of parents are like contacting me, and they say that the child understand ABC, the child understand 1 2 3, the child know the color, the child know a lot of things, the child know the name of the fruits, the child know these are important things. But either your child is able to tell you that the child is hungry, the child want more. So this is what we are going to talk about today, and this is important because sometimes those children who are on the spectrum and with ADHD condition, with neurodivergent and conditions like that, even ADHD, ASD, autism or spectrum. So these child, if they don't get food on the time, water on the time, then they get cranky, and sometimes parents don't understand that why the child is cranky, why the child is showing tantrums, and sometimes the child might have a need and the child is not able to communicate, so it gives them frustration actually. So just to avoid that frustration, we need to understand that what we can do about that. So the communication refer, and it also means that what a child used to communicate, mostly adult in the word use a combination of spoken speech, gesture and body language to communicate to one another. That is our mean of communication. But as a child, what a significant speech or language delay may have trouble with the spoken speech of the part. In this case, other means of communication must be considered as appropriate alternative. So, for example, if a child is maybe 2 or 3 years old or little bit older, and the child is still in the process of taking his therapy, but we cannot wait that the child can start speaking, then we start working on its communication. We need to work these things on the very start so that the child start telling you what he need, what he want. And it is important because it will that's how we are making, that's how we are working on a child to be more independent, to be more functional in his own, in his own life. And also if he need and want something, that definitely if he understand that how I'm going to communicate, uh, if I'm hungry, then a lot of time parents would be parent who don't feel the you could say the pressure that I don't know what my child is trying to say. So this is a way to begin the communication part as well. So let's see. So the first step is we need to find out the appropriate mean of communication of the child. Okay. For example, means of communication refers to a child use of communicate. Most adults would use a combination of word and like I already told you that. And a child with a significant speech delay may be trouble with spoken speech part. In this case, other means of communication part, for example, either the child is able to use his gesture, the child is using sign language, or the child is using pointing. So we could look in the aspect and we can develop that as well if the child is not able to point even. Gesture and body language. The child can use gesture and body language to communicate what the wants and how he's feeling. The child may point to or reach out desired object, or learn an adult, or lead to an adult, or it means that the child can hold the hand of the parent, the caretaker, even the therapist, and tell that I want this, I want more. So what he wants, he may communicate his displeasure with something for by frowning or simply, and maybe communicating joy through smiles and laughter. This is the most basic form of communication and should be most definitely as acknowledged for these children to so they don't feel that they are trapped with no means of communication. And you can say things like, your body is telling me that you are mad, I'm so sorry that you can't have this, or you're feeling displeasure. So it means that you are working with a child and you are telling him that it's okay if he is not able to understand, or you could say he's not able to talk at the moment, but he's with delay. But by doing these things, by encouraging him to use his gesture, his body to tell you, to lead you to something, we are encouraging the child to talk to us and to communicate us to and to make a bond with us. So this child will not feel shy, and this child will not start crying, this child will be not cranky anymore. So this is a step toward becoming a more independent person, even if you don't have communication yet. From communication, I mean speech yet. Okay. Sign language and gesture or action. For example, I said, but the problem with the sign language is sometimes that a lot of people don't understand sign language. So it's not necessary that you become professional over here, or you start learning professional sign language. Sometimes in few cultures, sign language is not appropriate to that culture. So for sign language, you need an interpreter to to understand that thing. But if you work on simple, for example, want this no is also sign language, this is also sign language, this, so it could be something. For example, if the child give you a glass, it means that the child want more water. Or if the child give you the plate, it means that the child want food. Or if the child is you could say touching his pen, it means that he want to go to washroom. But before that, you need to teach that to your child. And children are unable to speak are often use simple sign to communicate their basic wants and needs. This will need to be taught to the child. These adults and the adult will be communicating with that child. Here are some resources in the sense, like you could it's not about that you need a lot of gesture and stuff like that. I'm just talking few things over here, and you can use these things at home as well. You don't need to go to to have some kind of certification in that thing. These are simple things, and I just want you to encourage as a parent to use these things, and you will get a lot of information on the internet about these things. But I'm just trying to give some idea what you could do about that. And that's a picture exchange communication system. That is a system, and for that you don't need fancy cards. You can draw these cards, you can draw the picture of these things, And this is another alternative means of communication that allow a child to communicate using pictures or what he want. You can learn about PECs in the sense, like, first thing, you need to have a communication board. PECs help non-verbal children allowed to communicate. For example, you can draw some emotions, like we use this technique in the therapy. So you can draw some emotions and like happy face, sad face, and that's how your child is going to get that thing, that either it's a happy face. So if you ask your child he is happy or not, so he could show that face. And for that, you might can have a communication board as well. So for on communication board, you have a lot of picture and you help your child to point out these things, and you need to tell them, teach them what he wants. For example, by teaching him pointing, you are helping your child to understand that if he wants something, so he can point over there. So you like I told you that you don't need a fancy thing for that. Simple communication board would be enough. Even you can draw this picture on a paper or on a board as well. So like those children, a spectrum for them, if you draw the whole routine in the board, then it helps them a lot to understand what we are going to do the whole day. So it it the communication board is going to help the child to understand what he can do and what his schedule is. And it's the by pointing the picture, he would tell what he want. Either it's about money, either it's about water, either it's about food, it is about some food item, some food, some fruit, or he's hungry. So this is how he's going to understand. But you need to help your child to understand. For example, the tactic could be, okay, for example, that child name is ABC. So, hey, do you want this or you want this? So he would tell that you want this, because as a mother you understand, and you should, for simple thing, you have this idea already that the child like two things. So what you could do is place two same like two favorite thing over there. So he could tell you, I want this or this. It's not about, look, just give him something simple that he don't want. Then the child is not able to, the child may feel a little bit disturbed, a little bit, degraded on that point. So you can put all the pictures of the favorite thing your child want to do. And when you try to do, it's about food, it's about even the cloth as well. So you could say that, do you want to go outside, do you want to wear this? And so it could be creative, and you could modify them according to your own needs and wants, and according to the child as well. So choose new words to teach. Okay. According to that, once your child has chosen the appropriate means of communication for a child, you will then want to teach him or her to use these means to communicate. And if the child is not communicating much yet, you will want to start by teaching with one or two concepts. For example, choose things that are highly motivating for the child, such as favorite food or toy, or social interaction that the child really enjoy, such as tickling, bouncing, swinging, jumping, stuff like that. So always, what would is going to help you to, for example, if a child with me, if I'm working with a child like ABC, so I'm going to use ABC to do a lot of things. If a child like colors, a lot of children like colors, so we can do this activity we can inculcate this thing in our communication and teaching the child communication. And if a child like animals, and a lot of like animals on the spectrum, they love dinosaurs, they love animals, and they have a lot of vast connection. Few children have the collection of the cars, so you can use these things to, that's what the child is going, okay, we are sitting in a car, we are sitting in your favorite car, and we are going toward the water because the driver is hungry, the driver is thirsty. So it is, you could say, a creative process. There's no hard and fast rule on doing these things. Okay, so the step 3 could be model to the new words. Okay, now that you have chosen a word, you will want to model for her as for your child as much as possible. That doesn't mean that you need to dress up like Vanna White and display the word, light up the board through it. If you want it, definitely like to be see a picture. So you just, for example, this is board. So we are just going to say, okay, what do you want? Do you want this or do you want this? Okay, when you are hungry, then we eat food. So what do you want? Do you want this or do you want this? So these should be the favorite things of the child. It's not like you just put a lot of things which give the child, because in start we are just facilitating the things, the communication that the child already have. So it's better for us to use the thing that motivate the child, the activities that motivate the child, and the child enjoy more. Instead of, I'd like you to say the word for the child and over use the word in a variety of different contexts, like I told you before, such as during different activities or time of the day. Say the word it by itself many times, and then the two word combination as well. So the child should use and repeat the word again and again. For example, water, water. We like water. When it's raining, then water comes from the if it's raining. So if you want to introduce the word water, so what you are going to do? You would say like that. It's raining and we want water. When we are thirsty, then we drink water. And see, water is coming from the sky. So this is how you can do this, and you could be creative. There is no hard and fast rule to that. You could be more creative than what I'm telling you. And like I just don't, I'm not just presenting a case over maybe if I would do that way, maybe I try to understand. But the thing is that our IEP is individual. The child is different. Every child on spectrum is different. Every child on ADHD is different, even with intellectual disabilities and other disabilities as well. So we have to do and we have to plan things according to that child. It's not necessary that a child is on speech and he don't have communication, functional communication. Sometimes there are a lot of children who have speech, but they are not functional. And we have to have our way to with that child. Okay, so the step 4 would be provide temptation to say the word. For example, let me give you an example. If your child has been exposed to word over and over again, then the child will start setting. You need to have some kind of temptation to use that. For example, put that item high up on a on a shelf so that the child can see it but not reach it. For example, the child you know that the child is hungry and the child want to eat something, but you would put that on a shelf and ask your child, what do you want? And you could say 3 to 4 other things, but eventually and for example, this is the thing, and I would say, oh, for example, this is apple, and I would say, okay, do you want this peach? Do you want this orange? So eventually you are giving a temptation to the child, so because he is so much motivated to have that thing and this is his favorite thing. Maybe he starts speaking apple at that moment, I want apple. So if even he said apple as well, then it is the big achievement for you. And for that child, you need to encourage even smallest achievement of the child. Maybe the child start pointing even if he's not speaking. So just start doing encouraging small act of the child. And you don't always need to to work with the child in a sense that you need some fancy gadget. So there's a point when the child reaches to a point for look confused and say, what do you want? Give the child wait time to see if he will say the sign and push it or not. Try to counting 1 to 10 and do not do that thing delay. It might, you could say, it might discourage the child to speak. So just give a little a little space to the child if the child is speaking. If the child is not, you could say, oh, you want apple, let's have an apple, let's eat apple. We eat apple when we are hungry. So we are, you could say, we are just telling him the whole process. And then that after giving wait time, model the word for the child as a question, like I told you. Do you want to ball? Okay, have some ball. Make sure that your communication you want the child use while say such as singing or pointing to the picture. Then count to 10 in your head again. And wait time is over here. The wait is the key, and you don't need to be patient. Sometimes mother don't show patience. That mothers used to say to me that the child is not doing. The child is not doing. And I just said, just give them the space. Just give him encouragement and give him right environment to, so that he start doing it, because the child is doing more. We don't get this idea that the child is doing a lot. The child is doing a lot. The child don't communicate us. So it's not that you are putting some effort. The child is putting effort as well. We don't understand because we don't live in the mind of that child. So we cannot understand the mind of the child until we show him some encouragement to come out of his zone and start talking. And the child will give him that thing. And if you want and you don't want him to frustrate, and you don't want to get frustrated as well. So all I'm saying is just make this process enjoyable. It's not like if somebody's putting some somebody want you to do this and somebody's putting you force so that you should do this, you should do this. Just make it a fun way. It's a learning for them and for you as well. So you need, like I told, you need to be very patient with the child. And the basic step is you simply need to doing this until the child is able to use that method in communication. If you're done with this for a while and certain words with no luck, try a different word. So it's not necessary that what you're teaching, trying to teach the child, trying to teach the words, the child is going to speak that. You can try some other way. You can try some other method. Even you can search on the internet, and you can create your own steps for that. And you can create your small. You can goal for teaching that child. So that's all. That's all from my side. And I hope what I'm trying to tell you over here is you need to be very patient with your child. You don't need to rush the things toward the child, and you need to understand the point that this is a creative process. It might take time. So, like you're putting effort, the child is putting efforts over here as well. And just encourage a very simple thing. For example, if you are trying to teach him the word mama, so if the child say ma, then encourage him a lot so that the child come out and the child start doing it, because this is how we are working. Even sometimes the child don't say anything to us. Even then we do that thing which we plan for that child. And what I suggest to my client, what I suggest to those parents which I'm working, and what I suggest to those parents where I am working with them online on my home-based interventional plan, I told them you should have a set time for that child to work, and you don't need to have hours for that. Maybe 30 minutes would be enough for you to that child to sit every day and set the time. And your time should be like, the time should be the time that you can give that child on daily basis. Like, it's not like that one day you are giving him a lot of time, the second day you skip it. So if you want your child, because with therapists the child is for 1 hour or 2 hours, maybe more than that, 3 hours. But in that, we cannot teach them maximum, because we cannot teach the child. It is not humanly possible for us to teach the child to how he have to spend life 24 hours. But the child is with you at home, so you need to do these small things and small steps to work with the child. And if you like this presentation, please tell me in the comment section if you want to have more presentations like that. The topic, if you want me to discuss the topic, and I can do on this spectrum talk and tips. We can bring more episodes for it, and we have planned. And and I'm sure that working with Sound of Autism, they're doing a lot of great. And I hope people get benefit from. And for any query, you can inbox, or you can send the email to the Sound of Autism. And I hope you find this presentation very helpful. See you in the next episode. Bye.